The only thing I would say he should have really, I'd say, improve on is I think the endings just been a bit rushed. Because I think if one of them was just like if Starby's was the only one, feel a lot more complimentary to the overall package, I guess.
Anyway,
It's the only one. Yeah.
we're live.
Ooh, hello,
This is
hello.
AEW World's End predictions. Last pay per view of the year. It'll be right at the end of the year, especially for me. For me, it's going to literally be on the 31st of December because of my time zone.
Ooh,
But
ooh,
yes,
wow.
this is. Oh, I don't even know what I'm saying. This is, yeah, in my brain. So, um, yeah. The last one we had for AEW was Full Gear, and then after that was Survivor Series, and we haven't had one since, I believe.
Yeah, it's been quite a while since a big show has happened.
That's right. And I think we mentioned in the Full Gear video about how there's been a bit of a cold patch
Hmm.
after the big shows. I would say you could argue it's been an even colder patch in the last month and a half for AEW.
I would s- for yeah, I was about to say. I think specifically for AEW, I would say. I think this sort of last month of Continental Classic slash
Mm-hmm.
Devil slash I guess everything that happened with Omega, unfortunately, has sort of
Yeah,
put things very in a strange place.
it's weird. The only thing I really seem to check up on every week is the women's stuff, actually, because that's actually
Mm,
interesting for once. Well, some of it is.
yeah, but then it's easier to look at it because they only get a quarter hour
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
show.
Well, yeah. So the main things that I've noticed in my very brief looking at the shows, obviously they've had the Continental Classic. That's been happening. That's taken up a lot of the screen time. You got the Devil storyline with MJF. There's Samoa Joe's involved in that. You've got the Mariah May and Tony Storm thing for the women. And there's a whole bunch of really good stuff happening on Ring of Honor, but it's not on TV. You know, like Kyle Fletcher is huge now in Ring of Honor. He's great. And, you know, the Athena and Billy Starks I think they main evented Final Battle, if I remember correctly.
I believe so.
Yeah, that's all great. And then, you know, you got all the other stuff, you know, like the Mogul Embassy and
Yeah.
um that's all fine. But having said that, not only has this mess been because of the booking, but it's also because of unfortunate circumstances. They've had a few people out injured or just out for another reason recently. Kenny Omega got diverticulitis. Obviously, back at Grand Slam, Adam Cole jumped off a ramp, and that's basically fucked up AEW's entire booking for the rest of the year. And then, of course, you know, you got CJ Perry. She got a life threatening infection and has been in hospital. So
Yeah.
that's made the Miro storyline really strained for the last week or so. Juice Robinson is injured as well. There's quite a bit on top of just some of the very odd booking. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I don't know where. I hope by the time we get around to Revolution that they kind of fix things. I'm not
Yeah,
sure,
they've
but
certainly got time to
yeah,
rectify things.
especially because they're going to have Sting's last match on that show.
Yeah, they will.
But WWE is about to enter the road to WrestleMania, which is like their hottest part of the year. So AEW's in a very difficult position at the moment. Not to say there aren't positives, because there are things that are going well. There are some, you know, there's still lots of talent on the roster. There's still good things happening, good ingredients, but there's not been a lot to really draw people to watch the show, if that makes sense.
Nope.
And that's a shame.
Yeah, it feels the product is very much on a, I'd say, I guess I could say pause in terms of just investment.
Yeah,
It's been very, very
there's been a lot of.
strange
I think I've noticed
couple weeks.
a lot of the shows that are from what I've seen. A lot of it is based around waiting for something. So you're waiting to find out who the devil is. You're waiting for Mariah May's debut. You're waiting for Adam Cole to come back from injury. You're waiting for so many things to happen, and it just seems like we are just waiting.
On pause.
Yeah. And this is why wrestling needs off seasons. It's because of shit like this. You know, you give them 3 months off to rest and recover, and then you come back with a fresh start. That, for me, I think is something that this kind of thing needs. Because doing it all year round is not great. And if there's a time to have an off season, it's bloody Christmas, isn't it? Christmas and New Year's. You know, let people have holidays with their family and rest up from injuries. I've always thought that bloody Survivor Series for WWE would be a good point to like just end it for the year and then come back like right before the Royal Rumble. And then again with AEW, you could potentially do that with like Full Gear to Revolution, but I don't know. It's not my business. It's not my company, so I don't decide. But yeah, that's sort of this is probably I think I felt somewhat pretty similar to this time 1 year ago about AEW actually. I remember the period of time after Full Gear, because Full Gear 2022 was a really good show, but that was post Brawlout, so that pay-per-view was really good. But then as soon as that ended, like as soon as MJF became champion, he became like the only good thing on the show for like 3 months straight. It was pretty crazy how that all transpired, and yeah. Once you got to Revolution, you got like the Iron Man match and stuff, and then slowly they built their way back up, and then they did Collision, which then gave them another breath of life for a few months until Wembley. But yeah, this for me is the coldest AEW has been since then, if not even further back than that. Probably maybe since, oh God, what would be the coldest point before that? Maybe the pandemic.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got this final show. So and as always, it's a big card. As always,
it is a big card. And you know, as I say, never count out AEW. Even in the darkest of days, their pay-per-views can still deliver. So yeah, shall we crack into the predictions?
Yes. Yes, let's go. So
on the pre-show, we have a 20-man battle royal for a contendership match for the TNT Championship. This reminds me a lot of when the Bucks won that. You get a match for the tag titles, and then the next pay-per-view they lost that, which was weird. Now that's all kind of pointless because Kenny got diverticulitis, which we'll talk about later, what they decided to do about that. Jesus Christ. But yeah, there's a 20-man battle royal, and there's no one announced for it, so it's just going to be a wild guess. This is just going to be an absolute throw in the park. I'm just going to say Griff Garrison for no reason. And just see what happens.
I've gone with Mark Briscoe. I don't know, give him something after the tournament.
That's a much better option than the one I said.
Yeah. The
only reason why I say Griff Garrison is because I saw a report that Edge said to someone that he would like to work with Griff Garrison at some point. Or Adam Copeland, I should say.
Oh, is that an indicator of what your choices are?
Potentially.
In terms of...
But that's...
interesting.
I mean, I think he specified he wanted to like start a faction and put Griff in his faction. But whatever that means, you know. I mean, Tony Khan is probably the kind of guy that would just listen to what Adam Copeland wants to do because he's a simp for all the big stars and their demands. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a fun battle royal, maybe. We'll see. Anyway, moving on. We have an FTW rules match with Hook versus Wheeler Yuta. I'm sure this will be a fun match. I like these two. But I think I'm going to predict Hook to retain. I don't see a reason for Wheeler to win the FTW title.
Yeah, Force on the same. I don't think there's really any reason to not to drop the belt, I guess. Even though it's a belt I don't think many people really care about currently.
Well, I mean, when have they?
Yeah.
It's like very once in a blue moon that the FTW belt actually means something.
Yeah.
Probably its best ever moment was when Hook beat Ricky Starks for it that one time.
Yeah. 2 years ago.
1.5.
Oh, okay.
Fight for the Fallen 2022.
Right.
Yeah. Apart from that, you'd have to go all the way back to ECW when Taz had it. Anyway, that's the pre-show that we know of. Maybe they'll announce a third match. They probably will on Collision. We'll see. Right. Julia Hart versus Abaddon for the TBS Championship. I think this is pretty damn obvious. I think Julia Hart's winning this, and it's my it's my Genesis pick because the reason why I've chosen this and not another match is because I'm not the match that I think is going on last. I'm not 100% certain on the result, whereas I am 100% certain on this. I do not see Abaddon winning the TBS Championship. I think that would be if you place betting odds for Abaddon to win this match and she did, you'd make a lot of money. That's what I would say.
You would. Yeah.
Abaddon's gimmick has been she wrestles on TV on the 31st of October every year, and then she disappears. But she's actually getting a mild push now.
Wow. Yeah, I've also gone for Julia Hart. It doesn't make sense to take the belt off her now when she's probably one of the more hotter acts right now, along with Toni Storm.
No, I think I know why they've done this. So they both have quote unquote spooky gimmicks. And recently, Abaddon has gotten in better shape, and she's changed her look slightly. So she has something going for her, but it's not enough to win a title, I think. And Julia Hart's actually one of the things in AEW that has been doing pretty well in recent months. I think she has more momentum than all of the other House of Black members, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I actually think this is crazy. This is insane to say. I think Malachi Black is actually the weakest of the four in terms of his booking and momentum, because he just has no singles matches. At least Buddy Matthews got that really cool Andrade feud on Collision for a few months. Brody King was in the tournament.
Yep.
Malachi Black's doing absolutely nothing.
Nothing at all.
Do you think maybe it's because Tony Khan's being an overprotective boss, saying, "Oh, you can't hurt your back, you're at risk"?
Possibly. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I think he's probably the problem with Malachi Black is he's so tied down to a long-term contract that he's kind of fucked.
He is, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But interesting, the reports say that Warner Brothers Discovery are interested in Raw, which is because they want one Bill Phil on their channel. And if that pushes AEW off TBS and TNT, that could be massive. That could really, 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 really be a massive problem. I don't know. I'm not sure what Tony Khan's going to pull out of his ass to get that deal renewed. And if he doesn't, where would he go? Imagine if they go to Fox. Wouldn't that just be hilarious? Anyway, so I predict Julia Hart to win, and that's my Genesis pick. The next match is the one that I have the most anger about because of one very, very specific thing, and that is the 8-man tag team match with Ricky Starks, Big Bill, Kyle Fletcher, and Powerhouse Hobbs. Nothing wrong with that side of it. That team's great. The other team, Sting and Darby Allin, that's all good. The problem I have with this is why the fuck is Sammy Guevara back with Chris Jericho? And the only reason why this is happening is because Kenny Omega has diverticulitis, so Tony Khan decided to put...
This was their best option, though. Was this really their best option?
He decided to turn Sammy backface, and Jericho just accepted it.
Here's the thing, you know they're going to win. One, because it's Chris Jericho, and two, it's Sting on the team, so they're going to win. Yeah.
Sting has the most plot armor.
Yeah. Oh, God. Why? Just why?
Let's actually, like, to be constructive here. Let's think of options who would be better than Sammy Guevara for this team. It's got to be babyface, right?
Well, you can turn them if you want. It's fine.
But let's just say, for argument's sake, it should be a babyface, right? Or at least...
Man, you could have had... Is Adam Page on the roster? No, he's not on the fucking show.
So the Elite are all off the show, so you can't include them.
Yeah.
Is Orange Cassidy on the show? He is not.
No. Could have had Cassidy.
Don't know what he's doing.
Could have had, Ethan Page. You could have had fucking Jay Lethal. You could have had fucking...
Technically, Jay Lethal's a heel, but you could have had Ethan Page.
Yeah, you could have had Ethan Page. You could have had... I'm just looking down the roster here.
Could have had Claudio.
Yep, Claudio's an option.
As weird as that would be to have him in on that team, it makes no storyline sense, but it would make more sense than Sammy. You could have had Daniel Garcia. I don't know why. He's relevant to Jericho, but I don't know. It's tough. Could have had bloody Danhausen.
Yeah. Why, Sammy?
Yep. Could have had Dustin Rhodes teaming with Sting. Yep. Damn.
Yep. Anyway, the Sex Gods will win this, and they'll probably pin Kyle Fletcher.
Well, Kyle Fletcher's on a hot streak at the moment. I think he's the Ring of Honor TV champion.
Yeah, but this is a match with Chris Jericho in it.
That's a good point. I predict him to win, not because of that. I predict him to win because it's Sting. Sting doesn't lose.
That too. Sting doesn't lose.
Because Tony Khan is a massive effing mark. That's why. They could have had Katsuyori Shibata on their team.
You literally could have had almost anyone, and I would have preferred it.
Mm-hmm. Why isn't Takeshita on this show?
Yeah, why is Kai Fletcher in the match?
Why isn't he on any show? Why isn't Kota Ibushi on this show? He could have been part of that team. He's Kenny's friend.
Yeah, that would have made thematic sense.
Yeah.
That's a way better option.
Or you could have had Mark Briscoe.
No, Sammy Guevara.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, what's the next match?
You could have had Brody Lee Jr.
That would have been better.
The next match is a match that we thought we were going to get a year and a half ago. Well, at least a year ago. And we didn't. And we're finally getting it after all this time, after it's been expired bench bread on the table.
Long-term storytelling.
Swerve Strickland versus Keith Lee.
Yeah, it's over a year late, unfortunately.
The problem with this is that if you'd done it a year ago, they both would have had relatively even momentum. But now, Swerve Strickland is one of the most prioritized and best stars in the company.
He's pretty much the top heel.
And Keith Lee is not.
He's very much been portrayed as, decent mid-card.
Yep. Yeah,
So
this
it
is
doesn't make sense for Lee to go wherever. That's why I've gone for Swerve Strickland, and why he's my Genesis pick.
yeah. I would be shocked if Keith Lee won this.
It wouldn't be good.
Like, obviously it's no one's fault because Keith got, he had issues, and ever since COVID he has had issues, and it's just part of who he is. But that does not change the fact that this is fucking way too late to do this match. Like, it's just, it's silly. Ugh. What are some? I know there are some other examples of like they waited way too long to do certain matches. I can't remember. I think there's one in WWE. I can't remember what it was though.
I'm not sure. There's been lots of instances of things going on for way longer than they should have.
I know the one.
Every Jericho feud.
Undertaker versus Goldberg was way too late. They could have done that match ages ago.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, Swerve Strickland. It'll probably be a good match.
Yeah. Damn. Poor Keith Lee.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on, we have a match that has actually had a really interesting story around it. I'm just concerned about the health of one of the characters involved, that being CJ. Miro versus Andrade, the two guys that seem to be neglected by AEW, along with Malachi Black and Keith Lee.
Yeah, it's a neglected AEW feud.
Yeah. It's just like, who's more neglected? Yeah, again, I do really like the storyline they're doing with Miro and CJ. I think it's quite interesting how it's quite a unique storyline that I've never really seen, like, at least in a long time. Sort of like, he's married to this person who's professionally against him, which kind of ties into his whole, he's teased all those mentions about her before she even came, before All Out, about, my hot and flexible wife, how she's his temptation, but she wants to work with others and make him jealous. It's interesting. I just hope that CJ's healthy enough.
Yeah.
I could see this going either way. It depends on where they want to take the story, but the prediction I've gone with is Miro. I think of the two, despite the fact they're both neglected, I think of the two, I think AEW is more invested in Miro than they are in Andrade. I think Andrade just wants to go back to WWE as soon as possible. That's my guess.
I've gone for Andrade to win.
Okay.
I don't know. Just have a feeling. I'm not super invested in it, but it's it feels too predictable. I guess that would be my downfall, maybe. I just feel like Andrade. I feel like they're trying to give Andrade little things to be like, yeah, you're doing all right. You're doing all right in AEW.
Well, ever since Collision started, they turned him babyface.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because the faction he was in is still heel.
Yeah.
So I feel like at some point down the line they've got to do an Andrade Roosh match.
Yeah, I feel like they probably will, to be fair.
But it'll be on TV, let's be honest.
Most likely, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right then. Well, that's a difference. The next match is the final of the Continental Classic. This should be a really good match because of the history these two guys have
behind it.
Yeah. Now, as we said in previous videos, the whole thing of how the belts are all on the line and got put at the start was a bit silly, the way Eddie put them on. But now we're actually at the final. We can kind of look past that and just be like, right, this is a match for 3 championships.
There's a story between the two competitors as well.
Yep. Gold versus Blue, Eddie versus Moxley. This is what I think this is one of the matches on the card I'm the most looking forward to, I think. I think they'll tell a really good story. And
it wouldn't surprise me if this opened the show.
Yeah, that's true. And this is, in terms of the history of the company, this is a bit of a ballsy prediction. but I've gone for Eddie Kingston to win.
I've also gone for Eddie Kingston, and I think it's probably the right choice for the story that they've just told on Dynamite.
Yeah.
That he's already doubting himself. He's already making up excuses, according to Moxley. But I think Eddie will beat him clean to win the tournament, which I think would be a nice bow on this tournament that's been, I guess, there's a overall success.
Well, I mean, it seems like it's been a nice tournament that's had some nice stuff in it. But it's just, I feel like there hasn't been enough main event names in it.
No, I don't think it hasn't really made anybody any stronger. Other than maybe even then, Eddie is still very much beloved and still puts on very good matches and still very much is a very consistent character.
I think the highlight from what I've seen is they've told good stories about how Bryan Danielson was injured throughout the whole thing. That was quite interesting. Also, Bryan Danielson's not on this card. I just realized that.
Yeah, he almost got there. Had he beat
on Collision, they should announce Bryan Danielson versus Orange Cassidy for the international title. That would be a good match.
That'd be a good match. Yeah, why not? Fuck it.
Anyway, so Eddie.
Anyway, that should be a good match. I think that's probably number 1 or 2 in terms of matches that actually have been quite consistent.
Yes.
In terms of the story that they're presenting.
It has been very obvious to me that I think this tournament... I don't think this tournament is as good as the G1. I'll say that.
As a first attempt, I think it's fine. I think there are definitely improvements to be made. Just make it a tournament. When you win it, you get a world title shot at the start of next year.
The G1 consistently from New Japan has been one of the best things in wrestling in terms of like booking, execution, matches, storylines. It's a famously very good idea. And I don't think this tournament quite replicates that level of success. The G1, in a way, is like a combination of the Royal Rumble and the Money in the Bank, and it's also a tournament. It's brilliant. Yeah. I remember when Kenny Omega won it in 2016 and then went to face Okada. That was golden New Japan times there. Right, we have the Women's World Championship, Timeless Toni Storm versus Riho. Riho, who has probably the catchiest wrestling music in the world. I like Riho, and she's obviously a former champion, but I don't think she's winning this. I think Toni Storm is pretty comfortably winning this. And they are continuing the story with her and Mariah May mainly, and also Luther. It seems like this is just they need someone to challenge Toni, so they've just chosen Riho because she's around at the moment. She's just insert babyface to face Toni Storm in feud, and then continue whatever else is going on with the other characters. That's how I feel about it. I'm sure it'll be, a fun match, but I definitely think Toni's winning this.
Yeah, I've gone for Toni Storm. It's a very easy choice, I'd say. She's not been really paired against someone who has the momentum on the side to really make it seem like she could lose the belt at the moment, which is a big issue.
Apparently, Mariah's debut is going to be on the first Dynamite of the year. I'm just wondering who it's going to be against. They'll probably announce it on the show.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen some of her work in Stardom. She's quite good given her lack of experience, is what I would say. I mean, she had a match with Julia, which was really good, but Julia is one of the best female athletes in the business, so that's no surprise. And also one of the most charismatic. I wouldn't be surprised if WWE snatches Julia up at some point. I think it was one of the Rest Talk lads said, like, Julia would be a great addition to Damage Control, just like complete the Japanese collection. And then just that's when they finally kick Bailey out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway. The next match is for the TNT Championship, and it is Christian Cage versus Adam Copeland. We had their first match on the Dynamite it was in Canada. I think it was Montreal,
yes.
maybe. I actually did watch that. That was one of the recent AEW TV matches I actually did watch, so I was interested because it's actually like, it is actually a draw. And Nick Wayne's mum turned on Adam Copeland. She turned heel and she basically became part of the patriarchy. She's given in to Christian Cage's temptations.
Because Edge / Adam Copeland attacked her son with no remorse.
That's right.
That's a great reason for her to turn heel.
Yeah. So yeah, this is actually one of the stories that they have been doing well, just not enough of it. I feel like it's just been not enough of it on TV.
It had a very, very strange Ric Flair element put into it.
Yeah, I forgot about
and
that.
Then, thankfully, after
Full Gear,
Full Gear, they have allowed it now to be about the two people actually care about, and it's been good from everything that I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely, I would say, out of all these matches, that has been consistently booked well. I think this one could realistically go either way. It just depends on if they feel like they can continue telling a story or end it here. And even then, it's still quite difficult to pick.
Yeah, this feud and this thing has actually been to the standard I'd expect from AEW. To be honest, this doesn't feel out of place at all. That's good. I have decided to go for Adam Copeland, but I've made it my Androzani pick as a sort of safety net.
Ooh.
Because I could be wrong. There could be another twist where Christian Cage wins again. There's another betrayal. It's Beth Phoenix. She betrays Edge.
That's quite interesting because I've gone for Christian Cage.
Okay.
I feel like you can keep it. I think you can keep the Christian Cage title reign going for at least until Revolution, and it might not be Copeland who takes it off him. I don't think it has to be, but he can be a part of someone's story and beating him. I think there's potential there. Maybe putting someone over, like a Daniel Garcia maybe, or a something off that sort of level, who's sort of trying to break through into a bit more of a consistent role. I think keeping the belt on Christian would not be a bad shout for the next 3 months.
I'm wondering if they have Kill Switch turn on him.
I don't think they do it on this show, but I think they probably do it in the lead up to Revolution.
Yeah. But what about Jack Perry?
What about Jack Perry?
Real glass.
This should be a very heated match.
Jack Perry has given WWE their highest grossing house show of all time.
Go cry me a river.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could you imagine if someone told you the highest gate of all time for a domestic house show, that being America, for WWE in the history of their company, was main evented by Dominic Mysterio?
And this was all caused that the biggest show in pro wrestling history.
Yeah. What a fucking weird timeline.
Been a very weird year.
It's been a very weird few years. I feel like ever since COVID, the world is just upside down all the time.
Yeah, since 2021, since we come out of COVID, I would say the last 2.5 years have been very, very strange for wrestling.
I mean, 2020 was also weird, but it was weird in more serious
Weird,
ways.
Yeah, weird in a more serious, very, 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 very serious way.
Yeah. And now it's like, well, I mean, there's still weird, serious stuff happening as well, but it's talking more about like entertainment world. There's just very strange things happening. I'm just like, what is this? I'm so confused. And then you don't know. You think just when you think you've seen it all, then something else happens. You're like, what the fuck? I think I sent you. It was like a tribute to CM Punk's 2023, and like the amount of shit that like the amount of reports, the amount of things he's done on TV, like the amount of appearances he's made in strange places. Like, oh my god, what a year that guy's had.
Wow.
At the start of this year, he was pitching to go to WWE and to the Royal Rumble and feud with Kevin Owens. He went back just before Collision. He visited Raw and Impact. He had the 3-month-long Collision. He had got on those backstage altercations. Went to All In to Wembley. Couldn't get picked up, so he took the train, got lost. Got in a fight with Jack Perry. Got fired. Went on bloody MMA shows and slagged off the company. And then he just turned up at Survivor Series. And now he's on the biggest house show in America and WWE history. And like, just what the fuck is this? This is so weird. He's done 2 return promos in 1 year in 2 companies. And he said completely polar opposite things. How does someone do that? He even looks completely different to the way he did earlier in the year. Like, earlier in the year, he looked fired up, bald, ripped. He was sweaty in the face. He was pissed off. He had like a grey, silvery beard. And then he turns up on Raw looking like bloody Steve from Blue's Clues or something. I don't get it. It's so strange. Anyway, moving on to the main event. We have MJF versus Samoa Joe. The Masked Men are now the Ring of Honor Tag Champions, apparently. And there's a devil lurking around. This for me, I have loved MJF's babyface turn this year overall.
Yes,
but the worst thing it's done is it's sabotaged the war for 2024, which was one of the biggest parts of his character, because the whole point of this specific show is that MJF is supposedly wanting to leave AEW with the belt, like CM Punk did at Money in the Bank 2011, and it's the will he won't he re-sign with the company. But because he now is very clearly not only a babyface, but loves AEW, and everyone says, yeah, he's definitely re-signed. But also, AEW is nowhere near as hot as they were when he was doing that storyline. So people don't really care as much.
No.
And he's doing it against Samoa Joe, who is great. You know, in the 25 favorite wrestlers, we both talked about him. He's a fucking legend. But in the landscape of 2023, in this storyline, he's not really the best choice. What would have been the best choice is the real world's champion CM Punk being in this match. That would have been great.
I think that was probably what their original plan was.
Yep. That would have
Punk didn't want to work with the company anymore and got fired.
Well, it was more like the company didn't want to work with him.
Yeah, it was very
they spewed him out.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a little bit bizarre. But I guess I have to make a choice, so I'm going to say MJF to win, I guess. Even though there's a reason for Joe to win. But like, I don't know. I don't really know. I don't really know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. I've also gone for MJF, and this shall be my Androzani pick
Mm-hmm.
because it'll probably be the main event. So
It'll slice
yeah.
my correct prediction in half if I get it right. So instead of getting 2 points, I'd get 1.
You would, yep. And if you get it wrong, if somehow Samoa Joe wins, you'd get -2.
Oh, that's pretty rough. That's pretty rough.
Yeah. The
Dumb.
only way I see them doing it is that if Joe wins, it will then do what would have worked properly if this was probably booked a bit better. That MGF then has a promo on the first Dynamite of the year where he re-signs with the company in kayfabe.
Mm.
Like he talks about, like, I've done what I said I want to do. It's now 2024. But then he's like, there will be no bidding because I'm fucking staying or something like that. And that would have been probably really good if the story that's been building towards it has been consistent, I'd say, in the last month.
If he wants to get really real with it, if he wants to get like really real with it, he could say, if I leave this place, it's not staying on TV.
Yeah, I feel like the whole devil, who is the devil, has really poisoned the well in terms of this story. It's become way too. It's very much just on pause, and now the added element of the fact that Joe was actually working with the devil the whole time. Yeah, it's quite lame.
Yeah. And that sucks because
Yeah.
usually MJF storylines are the highlight of the show.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't have. They should have done my idea when I said at Full Gear, Joe turned on Max during the match, put him at his lowest, so he can pick him off when he faces him for the world title. They should have done that on Dynamite last night.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they should have done. Because he protected him, and now he's like, okay, I've got you this Saturday. I'm now gonna destroy you mentally. That would feel more like a Samoa Joe move rather than actually ho 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 ho. I'm actually in league with the devil this whole time because reveal.
Yeah.
Should have just done my idea. My idea was better, and I'm not even a booker.
It's so strange.
Feel more in line with Joe's character in terms of being someone who will physically destroy you, but also will go at you mentally, which feels like they've not done enough with Joe.
The devil being introduced before Wrestle Dream was a very strange choice.
Yeah, if you're going to tell the story this long,
it should have been introduced. It should have been introduced before Full Gear, not Wrestle Dream.
Yeah, definitely. Should have been introduced at the end of his match at Full Gear or the Dynamite after Full Gear. Yeah. Putting out Wrestle Dream just makes it feel like you've tried to put this mystery to hook people in without actually knowing what you're doing with it at that point in time.
But also having MJF and Jay White have their promo before Wrestle Dream when their matches at Full Gear is also strange. That was just bizarre. I didn't get that.
The last 2 months of booking in terms of week-to-week television has not been something there, as opposed to as it was like way up there during, pretty much the first 8 months of the year.
Yeah.
Shame. But yeah, it'll probably be a good match. Hopefully it's not overbooked. That's probably my fear, that the Devil Goons get involved. Something like that.
There's a lot of people on Twitter that are saying that 2021 AEW is peak. I don't agree on every front, but I think there are some elements of 2021 that were really strong.
I think the first 6 months of this year were very, very strong. Not probably, I'd say, what I would consider maybe a peak, but I think the first 8 months of this year, I think, has been a very good year for AEW. I think these last couple months have
I'd
sort
say, I think basically when it's like sort of like the weeks leading up to Collision. It's sort of like that period of time right before Collision started. There's a few really good Dynamites in a row after Double or Nothing. And then Collision, first 3 months of Punk booking was peak. It was brilliant. And then you had All In and All Out. And then Wrestle Dream also had some really good stuff on it as well. But ever since after Wrestle Dream, it's just kind of... It's been very, very weird. And like Collision, apparently, I haven't watched much of it. Apparently, it's been a quite well-booked wrestling match show. Like a very sports-like show that Bryan Danielson has had a lot of influence over. And that's fine, but there's not a lot of storyline weight in that. But Dynamite, Jesus, Dynamite has been a disaster. And I don't know if Rampage is good or not because I don't watch it.
Yeah, well, no one does.
But apparently Ring of Honor is really good, so there you go. At least they have that. At least they have that. If they reveal the devil on this show, you have to predict who it's going to be.
Oh, I'm sticking with my Kyle O'Reilly pick. I feel that's the only way. Not only would that be the best pick, but it will also slightly save, I think, the momentum the story has, because
so I would
always very good.
So I think Kyle O'Reilly is the best choice. I think that would be a great idea. It's not my prediction, however, because I think AEW's a little bit just slightly stupider than that at times, especially recently. I would love it to be Kyle, but I'm gonna say this is ridiculous. But I'm going to predict Adam Cole, and it's not a good idea, but that's what I'm predicting. What do you think would be worse for the story, Adam Cole or Jack Perry?
I'd probably say Cole.
Well, the Jack Perry would be lame. Like, it wouldn't get much. It would just be
Jack
like,
Perry would be really fucking lame. But I feel like there can be reasons for it. It's just that I don't fucking care about Jack Perry.
Yeah,
I care about Adam Cole and this story that they've told. That's my reasoning why I think that would be worse, because it would fuck with a lot of the good stuff that's happened this year.
You know what that would be like? It would be like when they had Jimmy turn on Jay at SummerSlam. It would be like basically that.
Yes, it's basically that,
if not worse.
Yeah, I would say it would be worse.
Yeah. Let's hope it is Kyle O'Reilly.
Hopefully the show's good. Yeah,
I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance it's a good show.
The match on paper, the work in ring should be very good.
Yeah, I think the talent can put on a good show.
Yeah.
Booking wise though, storyline wise, that's where I'm concerned. I think Tony Khan is worn thin at the moment. He is really, really desperate for stories. And, I feel for him. He's been absolutely trampled on at the moment by so many things. But at the end of the day, I have to be honest of what I think about what he's been doing. And I just think the last couple of months, he's not been up to scratch with his storytelling. And that's not forever. I know that AEW can be great. When AEW's at its best, it is like it is the absolute peak of what wrestling is all about for me. I mean, those first 3 months of Collision when Punk was still in the company was like some of the best consistent wrestling television I've seen ever. And that was this year. So it doesn't mean that they can't do it. They can. It's just not happening right now. But I am sure as long as they are able to secure a TV deal next year, I'm sure that they will get back to something good again. It's just going to take a bit of time. Time to heal the wounds. And time to, hopefully, for Kenny Omega and Juice Robinson and CJ and all the other really good, talented people that aren't on the show to feel better. The one thing, though, they need to fucking sort out is what the hell they're doing with Chris Jericho. Jesus Christ. This is some of the worst stuff he's ever done.
Work out what he's doing with Chris Jericho.
This is like some of the worst stuff he's ever done in his career. It's genuinely terrible. Yeah.
He started out last year so well.
Yeah, he did.
End of last year was really good.
Yeah, when the
ROH World title run was really good.
When the JAS first started and they had that feud with the Blackpool Combat Club, that was great. When they did Anarchy in the Arena and Blood and Guts, I loved that. And the whole sports entertainment versus pro wrestling thing with Daniel Garcia, that was brilliant. But then now here we are, and it's just...
This year's been very bad. He had a very bad Adam Cole match. He had a very bad just summer run of promos. He had that one good promo against Will Ospreay and then had a really good match. But now he's had this run with Kenny that's been bad, and obviously it's been hit with something serious, unfortunately. He also faced Sammy this year, didn't he?
At that Grand Slam, and Sammy turned heel on him. And they replicated the one where Jericho turns heel on Shawn at WrestleMania 19. They did the same thing.
They did that. Yes, they did.
But now Sammy has had a kid, and now he's back to being babyface again.
I don't care. More bad year.
It's so funny how the AEW crowd booed a child.
Because it's wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully they can pick up momentum after the New Year's. They've got 3 months to sort of pick themselves back up.
Yeah.
And go in fresh directions, I think, which is kind of needed.
I know this is really grim, but if Darby Allin dies on Mount Everest, they're fucked. That would be the worst possible outcome.
Yeah.
Please don't die, Darby.
Please.
I know you try really, really hard to, but please don't.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a sort of a sad way to end off what has been like a really good year.
Yeah.
These last couple of weeks have just... Yeah, it's just...
Whereas the WWE has some really exciting stuff coming up in January. That Royal Rumble pay-per-view is looking juicy. You know, talk about CM Punk and Cody Rhodes in the Royal Rumble. Jesus Christ. Along with all the others. Randy Orton. Gunther. Man, you got Seth and Roman as champs. Then you got AJ in there. You've got there's a new faction coming on SmackDown. The SmackDown women's division is absolutely exceptional at the moment. It's really well done.
Other than the Charlotte Flair injury.
Oh yeah, of course, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. And you know, the Judgment Day is a lot of fun when they're not just spinning wheels. CM Punk is there, obviously. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. Like, it's just... there's a lot happening. Chelsea Green is also really good. And she's in like a really low mid-card division. But
yeah,
I still think the formatting of the TV show sucks. And it's always been like that ever since the 3-hour era. With Vince, It's always been shit. and I even think the SmackDown presentation has its issues as well. Yeah, so the formatting of the shows and some of the really stilted, like, scripted promos still piss me off. The backstage interviewers, the commentary, like Kevin Patrick, for example, sucks. But in terms of depth of talent, there is actually a lot going on, and story, there's actually some stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, there is. Definitely.
Yeah.
Next 3 months should be very good for WWE.
Yeah, it should. Yeah, I mean, yeah, even with their issues, it should be. I mean, Drew McIntyre, I forgot to mention him. He's doing great at the moment. He's doing fantastic.
Great character work. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe we're already near Mania season already.
Yeah. CM Punk is going to be at WrestleMania. What the
WrestleMania
fuck?
40. Everyone's, and it's good to remember that this is the 40th WrestleMania, so it's going to be realistically
10 years after the Mania he missed, WrestleMania 30.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, hopefully AEW World's End is good to end out the year. Hopefully they do something interesting.
Yeah.
And if not, then I guess we'll have to wait a long time for the start of March. Unless they somehow slip another pay-per-view in there, which I don't think they should. I think they should literally wait until Revolution, which is just over 2 months away. I think that makes sense to me.
Yep.
Yeah. Right then. We'll see you on the review. Have a happy new year. Also, I probably will upload Dave 24 soon enough when I edit it. I'm very tired from Christmas, but I'll get to it. Bye. I bid you adieu. Get well soon, Kenny. Good night and goodbye. Bang.